This is lesson 29, reducing fractions part 2 for course 1. So this is the fraction we left off with for part 1. Remember 4 wholes times 2/3 equals 8/3. So what we're looking at doing is taking this fraction and putting it into its lowest terms. Now there's two ways you look at doing this. This way is looking at how many 3's are in 8. Okay, so we're doing a little bit of division. You are dividing 8 by 3. So there are 2 3's in 8, which means I have 2 wholes, because remember, when you're doing fractions, 3 over 3 is a whole. Okay, so how many 3 over 3's can I get? Well, I can get 2 because 3 plus 3 is 6. If I take 6 out of 8, I am left with, my denominator stays the same, I am left with 2. So you end up with 2 and 2/3. This is now in lowest terms. Okay, I know that because I look at these two, the numerator and the denominator, and I cannot either A, make a new whole, or B, divide using common denominator. Okay, because 2 is a prime number and so is 3. Both of them are only being able to be made by the factors 1 and the number itself. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 3. So that means both of these are lowest terms. Okay, so this one is ready to go. Let's look at another one. Okay, let's take a look at 6/12. Okay, if you're doing something and you get the answer 6/12 and you need to reduce it to lowest terms, what you need to do is you look for the, first of all, is the numerator bigger than the denominator? Can I make any wholes? In this case, I cannot. So second thing I look at is greatest common factors. Do they share any common factors? Well, 6's factors are 1, 6, 2, and 3. 12's are 1, 12, 2, 6, 3, 4. Okay, are there any common factors? Well, yes, they are. And what is the greatest common factor? Greatest common factor is 6. So I'm going to take both the numerator and the denominator, because whatever I do to one, I have to do to the other. That's a rule. Whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom, and vice versa. So I'm going to divide 6 by 6. I'm going to divide 12 by 6, because those are my greatest common factors. And I'm going to make myself a lowest terms fraction. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. So this is now lowest terms. Now, if I wasn't sure it was lowest terms and I didn't take the time to find the greatest common factor, I can do a couple of checks. Okay, from looking at it, are there any numbers I know that divide into it that I could divide into both? If I look at it, are both of them prime numbers? If both of them are prime numbers, then chances are it's lowest terms. Okay, a couple of checks you can do there just to make sure you're always in lowest terms, because I know once we start getting into bigger numbers, we tend to go with the easy ones like 10s and 5s, but they might not be the greatest common factor. That's why you always want to divide by the greatest common factor. If you do that, the number will always be in lowest terms the first time you do it. Okay, let's look at one more together, and then I'm going to let you go on to lesson practice. So last one we're going to look at is we're going to do a little bit of multiplication while we're doing it. 2 times 5/12. Okay, so remember 2, I need to make 2 wholes. So this is now 2 wholes times 5/12. 2 times 5 is 10, and 1 times 12 is 12. I now need to make this lowest terms. My numerator is not bigger or equal to my denominator, which means I can't make any wholes, but I can come in and say, okay, we're going to go into lowest terms. So factors, 1, 10, 2, 5, 1, 12, 2, 6, 3, 4. Okay, what is the greatest common factor? Greatest common factor is 2. Okay, as you do factors more and more and more, this does become easier as you start memorizing your multiplication facts. You're probably going to need your multiplication table and a little bit of work to get them done to the start with though. So because 2 is my greatest common factor, I'm going to divide both by 2 because whatever I do to the top, I must do to the bottom. So I'm going to divide both by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Okay, gives me 5, 6. 5, 6 is lowest terms, and I know this because I divided by the greatest common factor. That is reducing fractions. You're taking whatever fraction you have and you're dividing both the top and the bottom by the greatest common factor between the two. Now remember, if both the numerator and denominator are prime numbers, you are at lowest terms. You don't have to go any farther. You also need to look and make sure that whatever you have as your numerator is smaller than your denominator. If it is equal to or bigger, you can make some holes, and making those holes might get you to lowest terms. So always start with doing the holes first. But that is lesson 29, reducing fractions, part 2 for course 1.